En esta nueva edición de Entrevistas Metal Index conversaremos con el guitarrista e ingeniero de sonido David Depasquale, miembro de la banda de brutal death metal de Malta ABYSMAL TORMENT y de la prominente banda CLUBMURDER. Nos hablará un poco de su trayectoria musical, así como de algunos de sus proyectos personales que lidera en la actualidad. Sin más preámbulo, comenzamos.
Sean todas y todos bienvenidos a otro episodio de Metal Index. Mi nombre es Washington Ibáñez y en el día de hoy tenemos un invitado bastante interesante, en la cual ha puesto y ha convertido un país tan pequeño como Malta en una potencia de death metal, grindcore a nivel mundial. Hoy en Entrevistas Metal Index tenemos a David Depasquale, guitarrista de la banda ABYSMAL TORMENT y fundador del afamado estudio Spine Splitter. Thank you, David, for accepting this invitation today to Metal Index. How you doing, my friend?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Yeah, we are doing great as well, and we're happy that you are today sharing your experience and moments in a great death metal band like ABYSMAL TORMENT. But to introduce you, let me know how you started to play guitar and how do you got into metal stream music.
So, when I was younger, around the age of 11 or 12, I wasn't doing too good at school. The academic system part of it wasn't for me, so I wasn't doing really well. And at a point we were in the car with my mom and dad, and my mom asked me, what do you want to do if you don't want to give a shit in school? And there was a song from the Michael Jackson song from the Bad album. It was called Dirty Diana. And when she asked me that, there was the chorus riff going, and it has a nice riff. And from there, it kind of popped in my head. I told her I want to start playing guitar. And they accepted, and they took me for lessons, and I started having lessons. I started as a super beginner, not even knowing how many strings are on a guitar. At the time, only 6 strings existed, or 7 maybe. After that, through friends from school and whatever, I had a neighbor here who's actually a neighbor, and we started talking about music. We were getting close. And we were talking about music, and he introduced me to Iron Maiden, which I obviously heard of before, but never really heard. And he gave me, I think it was a compilation, I forgot what it was called. And along the way, when I was listening to Maiden, I was still playing guitar and getting interested already more in the extreme distortion part of music. And after a month, I kind of told him I got a bit bored of these, do you have something else? And he gave me the Load album from Metallica, which not a lot of people are fans of, but to me it was a turning point over there, because when I put it on, I was blown away by it. And from there, I left from taking lessons. I started buying Metallica tablature books, and I started learning metal guitar from there. After that, it started evolving more towards the death metal part and getting to know more bands. And basically, it kind of worked together. Whatever I listened to, I tried. Whatever impressed me, I tried, and it was always that way from there on. Basically, it was that, listening to music and then trying to get heavier. I had a small amp, I used to crank it all up so I get a little bit of overdrive. And this was back, I was around 12 and 13, so it was around those times where I started, and I began evolving a little bit, learning, and then really and truly always exploring myself in guitar playing, basically. Like, for example, pinch harmonics or whatever, I used to do them in a really funny way. I used to pick the string and then just touch it slightly with here. And it used to harmonic. So basically it was that as a start.
Yeah, I ask you this because in a small country like in this case Malta and Venezuela that we are come from, it's really hard to see people that likes extreme music like death metal, black metal, even grindcore, and developing this kind of music into reality. Most of these cases people fails, but you didn't, and you create a band known as one of the best metal band in Malta, even around the world. Tell me how you create and meet all the people that plays on ABYSMAL Torment.
So ABYSMAL Torment came a lot later than the guitar part. In between I continued practicing, and like 3 years after I went into my first band that was called Infected at the time. I was around 15, 16. The metal community here in Malta is quite strong. So from the even 60s and 70s, but from the 80s on, there was always bands who played either hard rock, at the time maybe the 80s, even the glam metal and metal and hard rock was always present in Malta, and it was quite popular, although not totally understood. I'm sure in the 80s it's still taboo till this day, but it was always present. So for us, when I started in the first band, and we went in the places where there are a lot of bands playing, which are normal car garages, which they convert into rehearsal rooms. You start seeing and meeting people, you know, and from that you kind of, you know, get information and pass exchange CDs or tapes at the time as well. And from there, everyone used to learn from each other. And then I started listening to, in my case, there was a time where metal was getting big as well. So I kind of went on that part as well. So I was kind of a Slipknot fan as I was a Disgorge fan. So both. And I took from both, basically. I still love them both. And I think it evolved from that, mainly. I got like, when I heard Cannibal Corpse the first time, I got blown away. Every time, it was a really great time for me, because almost everything I listened to, it blew me away. I had a lot of catching up to do. And Cannibal Corpse are one of my main influences, I think.
Yeah, mine as well. I remember the first time I listened to Cannibal Corpse, it blew my mind away. Because Cannibal Corpse is like a band. You know, it's a great band, but it's totally different, the music that they create. You know what I mean?
They have their own sound. In general, not just they have their own sound. When you hear that, you instantly, when a song comes on, you don't need to know it. You don't need to know the song. You're gonna realize you're gonna know it's Cannibal Corpse right from the bat. So
and you know, when you are listening the music, and you know in 2-3 seconds that is Cannibal Corpse.
Exactly.
That is Cannibal Corpse, yeah. But ABYSMAL Torment is such a powerful death metal band that sometimes I feel that you have so many years on the scene. But your first album, Epoch of Methodic Carnage, was made in 2006 and Omnicide in 2009. Two albums about brutality and violence, but I see a big difference between those. The first one is more grindcore for me than the second one. Am I right with this opinion?
Yes, of course, definitely, 100%. I think the music was more towards the grindcore side of extreme music. That is something I think that always me as an individual musician, I always try to evolve, so that was part of it. Always keeping in mind that we had to keep it extreme. The idea was always that to keep it extreme. Then more than the more precise playing and that stuff changes the sound a little bit. Like Epoch of Method the Carnage was played live. We recorded that live in over 2 or 3 sessions. The whole band just going for it. So later on, we had another MCD before Epoch. We had Incised Wound Suicide as well, which was even more grindcore. But yeah, that's it. I kind of wanted to make it a little bit more professional, or I don't think it's the right word, but a little bit more controlled, in a controlled environment. Although Epoch and Incised, we used one of the top studios in Malta. It was Temple Studios, which is still going. But yeah, that was live. We just rehearsed in the rehearsal room, then just went there. We're gonna record an album, and recorded it. And then they recorded the vocals on top. When Omnicide came along, then I opened the studio, and it was literally my first project. And we went with the more modern approach of multi-tracking, having everyone record separately, so you concentrate on the parts. It was going towards the more how do you say, recent system of recording, basically.
Yes,
I think
that's what I'm talking about. Because
yes,
even though those albums sounds alike, I feel more gore and violence on the first one than Omnicide. But that you told me about that you opened the studio in 2009.
So 2007.
2007. With Whispering Vimonous Ones, you took another way to work, because we listened to a great mixing and production, a step up, and Abysmal Torment becomes one of the best metal band in Malta besides Beathead. How was the composition on this album? And is there anything interesting that you want to share with us?
So that was the very first one that we took the more recent approach of writing music. So before, we used to meet at the rehearsal room and just throw ideas, and whatever works and we like, we keep and try to build around it. Although the system isn't that system of throwing ideas and what we like we keep isn't that different. It was more in a more controlled environment again over what we did with Omnicide. I think, in my personal opinion, maybe not everyone agrees with this, but I think it's a more professional way of doing music. And I was never one to stay stuck in what I did already, and what we did already, even as a whole band. We always wanted to evolve, all of us. Kind of, when you say grindcore, you're wearing the aborted t-shirt, right?
Yeah, Aborted is one of my favorite bands
and
ever.
It's one of those that started really grindcore, and nowadays it's a more professional approach towards, and they have awesome music. I really dig Retro Gore and Terror Vision, both super albums for me.
Yeah.
So at that time of that one, the album is called Cultivate the Apostate. And from that, we started taking this approach basically that we are still using now. So I record the guitars do a rough MIDI drums and whatever, and then I give it to the drummer and he writes his stuff. And then on top of the music, the lyrics and are written as well. But like that, you can take breaks from what you wrote, so it's not like you wrote something, it's good, it worked, and it's gonna be kept. You'll take time to sleep on it and whatever, and then decide on what the next step is. And basically, that's it. You build up slowly like that.
You reach a higher level with whispering, but but like about it, when you listen to Gormajero 15 years ago, and you listen now television, you say this way different about in 15 years than now today.
And I like both.
Yeah, me too.
And it was like Gormageddon, I'm sure it was their best they could do at the time, which was the same for us. We always did our best to present really violent music as much as we could.
But with ABYSMAL TORMENT, I was really grown, because in 2018 you made The Misanthropy. For me, it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece full of high quality and production. Vocals, bass, drums, you on guitar are damn solid, and I think this is the best album that you've ever made. The Misanthropy was posted on Slam Worldwide in YouTube, and this is a good signal that ABYSMAL TORMENT is now an important death metal band anywhere. David, what did you and the guys feel with this big achievement?
So we are really proud of the latest album we released. We are obviously we were always blown away by the response we got. It's obviously you're not gonna get only positive responses. Some people just like the older stuff, which I understand totally. But more than the band, I can speak for me personally. I'm really proud of it, and whatever is gonna come out from this point is definitely gonna be an evolution from the Misanthrope, because to change it at this point, I think it wouldn't be the best idea. I'm proud with it. I'm totally proud with it. I think we did a good job of creating the usual violence.
Yeah. Oh, well, I see that the ABYSMAL TORMENT has had a good career, and I hope you guys keep this work on it. It's well known that you personally, David, have a recording studio called Spine Splitter, a professional recording, mixing, and mastering studio right there in Malta, dedicated to deliver high quality audio. You have this moment here in Metal Index to promote your services as professional engineer you are.
So, as you said, the studio is called Spine Splitter Studio, which I'm sure you know where the name came from, since you know Cannibal Corpse.
I know that.
The name is from there, from the Bloodthirst Spine Splitter song. Yes, as a studio, I've been with the studio for around 14 years now. 13, 14, I think even going to 15, because I was a little bit before Spine Splitter. Yes, obviously I always try to do the best I can and treat the bands as individually as I can to create the best sound I possibly can. I do the whole thing where it's recording, mixing, mastering, editing. So I do the whole process. I did even other work on post-production for film, some short movies, nothing too major, but I did that as well. That's basically it. I think most of the listeners would know what a studio is about. If anyone is interested, just check out my YouTube channel, which is under my name, David Depasquale. And if you write Spine Splitter Studio in YouTube or whatever, a lot of the bands that record here will pop up. So you'll get to listen to what I have as well.
But let me get this clear. What if I have my own... I'm a drummer.
Yes.
What if I have my own drums and I want to record a single track? Can we both work with mine?
It depends on the drum kit, really. I don't know if that was the question, but yes, it depends on the quality of the drums, you know. I have a drum kit here, for example. Now, if you're saying because we're far away from each other, you'll find a studio or whatever, maybe you have equipment. We do it nowadays as well, where you have your equipment, you are able to record properly with no leakages and whatever. And you send me the tracks, and from there we edit and mix, or just mix if it doesn't need editing. Basically like that, yes. I do have projects like that where I receive the tracks, the separate tracks, and I mix and master.
Yeah, okay, perfect,
Mostly I like working with doing the whole thing, as I think most of the producers do. But sometimes it's helpful that sending tracks is available. We can do it easily nowadays. So yes, I'm always up for it, and even the genre doesn't need to be death metal or metal in general. It can be whatever it is. If it is something that I'm not super 100% on about, I'll take it as a challenge and I'll tell the client what the situation is. So basically, I do this because I love music. I do it for the love of it. Obviously,
for the love of music.
There is money as well, but I need to live. But
we understand that.
But
yeah,
I do it because it is something that I'm sincerely passionate about. That's it. That's the word, passion.
Let me talk about your endorsement. I know you got a guitar endorsement from a brand from Malta. Tell me something about that.
So, the brand is called Manicaro Custom Guitars. He's a dude he's a guitar builder. And I fell in... This guy spoke to me. He knew about the studio and all that. And he spoke to me to demo one of his guitars. And he came here. It was the 7-string version of the one I have. And usually you'll be, unfortunately when it's someone Maltese, you'll be a little bit skeptical. And anyway, he came here and I touched this guitar and I fell in love with it instantly. I told him, pity it's a 7 because I play 8. I told him, let's do an 8, and he accepted, and I have it right here actually.
Oh, what a beautiful guy.
Yeah, it's headless. It's my first headless as well, which I'm never going back as well. This is not gonna exist for me anymore. It's too comfortable. This even to change the strings and everything, the system. It's too comfortable.
Are those Seymour Duncan pickups?
Sorry?
Are those Seymour Duncan pickups?
No, those are bare knuckle. Bare knuckle. They're a British band, British brand. And it is the first time for me to go with passive pickups as well, which I think I'm gonna stay with. Now I have another guitar ordered, same guitar builder, and I'm gonna use lace pickups, which is from the USA. I forgot exactly from where, but I'm really looking forward to them.
Oh, okay. Well, David, thank you for bringing us this amazing interview. We admire your work and dedication to the music and your love for extreme metal. Thank you to all the guys in ABYSMAL Torment But before leaving, send some of greeting out to the people that enjoys Metal Index.
Alright, dudes. Check out Metal Index for some awesome metal content and awesome interviews.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Y para todas aquellas personas que nos están viendo por primera vez, no olviden suscribirse a nuestro canal Metal Index. Dale click a la campanita para que no te pierdas de todo lo que tenemos para ofrecerte semana a semana. Sin más nada que decir, David en Malta, Washington en Florida, USA. See you soon.
See you.